live, Jeff. We are live, baby,
And
live.
that is
Live, baby,
awesome.
live. Live, baby, live.
Live right here on the
The
chain.
chain exclusively. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. Let's get revved up, man. We've been hearing all kinds of crazy stuff out there. Jeff and I are going to set the record straight tonight. We're going to get you in a good mood. So
We are going to get fired up, Chip. Fired up on the XRP. Not a lot happening,
Text
but
your
just
friends.
enough to get fired up about.
Text your friends. Wake your neighbors. Tell them to get out of bed. Tell them stop drinking. Come on into the live stream. We're going to have some fun.
That's it. When should we start this thing off, Chip?
I'm going to go with right now.
Welcome to On the Chain with Jeff and Chip.
Uh-oh, man.
Jeff and Chip, Chip and Jeff.
Man, this isn't good, man. Michael has canceled the Lambo.
No, dude.
And never good when you see that. I don't like that.
No, I do have some funny. There have been some funny tweets out there that I think we would probably get into as well, because I think everybody's taking this way too hard. You know what I mean? It's kind of like everyone's like fear, panic, everything else. Look, Jay Clayton left today, and he actually did Ripple and XRP a pretty big favor. We're gonna jump in and explain, right, Jeff?
We are. We're gonna try to dig into that.
Digging in. Jade's here. Jade, good to see you. She says finally a stream. Let me see. Where are my comments here?
His first in tonight was When Mullet. So yes, we are going to talk a little bit about the SEC, and we're going to see.
Hope she means that in a good way, Jeff.
Wait, finally a stream I can watch, not what?
Yeah, I think she's like, it's like she's not asleep, or she's not sleeping when we're streaming, or she doesn't fall. I hope she doesn't mean she falls asleep during the stream, because that would be like, that wouldn't be good
a stream
either,
that's going to keep her awake.
Oi.
Hey, look at that! I just got my notification. We just went live. Do you know that?
Well, that's what YouTube's been a really strange place to see. You got Tony Morissette's in here. Hey, great to see you. Breath of fresh air. Love to hear that. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And what else? Who else we have in here, man? Wade's in here. Wade's always sending us cool stuff. Appreciate that, man.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
Oh, Jeff, we got a Crusaders fan in here, dude.
All right.
Yeah, we have a Crusaders fan. That's all right. We're cool.
Can we sue the SEC for money lost based on their decision? Wait
a minute, man. Yeah, so everybody's pretty well aware, because it's been the topic of the last couple of days, the FOMO of the week, so if you will, the FUD of the week, I should say. And you know, this the SEC, and everyone's like, oh, I hate Jay Clayton, let's kill him. You know, and first of all, you got to cut Jay Clayton a little slack. He's not that bright. Never really got crypto. 2 years ago, he comes out and says Bitcoin is not a security. Then Ether's not a security. Then, you know, so let's dive into it, Jeff. I think we should really kind of dive into this from more of a legal standpoint, in a standing, and what's actually been asserted versus. By the way, I want to give a shout out to Annalise. Good to see you in here. Cecil Neal. Who else is in here? Danny Torres in the house. What's up, Danny Torres? Long time.
I see a lot of new names bouncing in here.
Dakota Shipley. Dude, what is up? Because you always catch us usually on the replay. It's good to see you in here live.
Awesome.
It's great to see SW's here.
Yeah, so Chip, I think you got to throw it right out there. You brought up Jay Clayton already, and so you put it out there. You talked about Bitcoin, talked about Ethereum. What is the one thing that the SEC, has already come out with regarding Bitcoin and Ethereum? It is that neither one of them are considered securities, correct?
Exactly. Neither one of them considered. And why would that be, Jeff? I mean, why would you, if you look at that, why would they actually say that they're not securities?
I mean, they're looking at them as a currency, so, we can throw that out there as a good starting point as we get into this conversation, because it's interesting. I want to give a quick shout out to Doc Cullen, because we haven't
Doc is in here. We haven't seen Doc Cullen
for a long time. So it's great to see you here, Doc. Chip, as these things kind of progress, it's interesting because front and center, obviously, we've all been watching, the world's watching the the media is watching. We're talking about like, you know, get it?
Get it done.
I
I
think
just
you're
like it
missing,
if it says
you're
get.
missing part of it though. Yeah.
I like
Just the
just get. See, get's
get,
cool. Get.
get.
We used to say that when we were like when we were in
Get.
high school. We used to be like get.
That's
It was
right.
just like get
Get.
out of here. It was just
Just
short for get.
get it. So, you know, so here we are, Chip, and the whole, like I said, the whole world's been watching as the crypto space has really been, you know, driving towards all-time highs, at least with Bitcoin. And it's been pulling the whole market in a specific direction. But now here we are, you know, we're kind of at this, this crossroads, so to speak. But I think everybody knew this was coming, right? It's been the highest, you know, one of the biggest topics of conversation within the XRP community, within Ripple. You know, those guys have been in many conversations in regards to XRP not being a security, whereas there's still always been this open question as to whether or not XRP is a security, and how else do you really, you know, finally deem something not a security if it doesn't go to a court case like this?
Yeah, well, look, I think if you read through the complaint, you know, and I see enough of this stuff, deal enough with complaints in a different world, but still the legal court system, and you know, a complaint is just that. So anybody can leverage anything. So it really has to do with what is their complaint around, what are they citing inside the complaint, and we'll jump a little bit more into it, but. When you look at it, it's like it's a very weak on so many different levels. I mean, first of all, what they're looking for. Also, they took a pretty hard, I would say, coming at, you know, Chris and Brad, the two top guys of the company. That's a little bit odd in itself, you know, coming at them like almost on a personal type of a level. And you know, Garlinghouse is blasted. He's blasted the the SEC for some time, just talking about regulatory clarity. So it's funny that Jay Clayton out the door says, hey, you know, what the heck, let's go ahead and levy this thing. But I think there's a big silver lining here because, you know, first of all, I know Galvatron pointed some stuff out about Kick and the Kin token, right? So now, even though when you look at something like that, which is more of was a token. What are you laughing over there? Jay Clayton stole Christmas. Actually, I don't think so. I think Jay Clayton delivered Christmas in a big way, because what's going to come out of this, just to preference this hour we're going to spend with you, Jay Clayton put a lot of things in motion that are going to set Ripple and XRP up for huge things in 2021. Because what's coming behind that is regulation. What's coming behind that, and look, these suits, everyone gets a little nervous about them. Oh my God, the SEC. And it was funny because I turned somebody on to lunch the other day about XRP, and they sent me an email. Hey, is this it? I was like, yeah. I'm like, you might want to hold off on the buy right now. Why? Because it's probably going to drop, you know, and it did drop a lot. I think it was at 40 something, and you know, we saw it go down to 22, and it's kind of been oscillating back and forth. Well, which given everybody an opportunity to, you know, give a buy, Jeff. But I think let's jump into this on the merits of the case. And then I want to talk about what the SEC is seeking, basically injunctive relief, disgorgement with prejudgment interest, civil penalties. I mean, what they're looking at, what their grounds for the complaint are. And I think if we kind of go through and read through it, I think we'll be in a better place. What do you say?
Yeah, I think so too. Here's something I want to bring up as we start, you know, thinking about, you know, as we're getting into this. I thought it was interesting because Brad Garlinghouse posted an article on the Ripple website, and this was also, it was an open letter to the employees of Ripple, and you know, I think he felt that he had to outline this, and then they made it public. You know, after he, you know, wrote this open letter to them. But the first thing is the SEC's attack on crypto in the U.S. So, you know, as we're starting to see, you know, kind of unfolding, you're seeing on Twitter, you're seeing it coming from Brad Garlinghouse and others, that this direct, you know, that this case is really more than just identifying whether or not XRP is a security, but it can also set precedent, you know, for everything that comes after, as well as a lot of the projects that currently exist, you know, that are on record. And so, as we look at this, I thought there were some, really interesting statements, and Chip, we'll get into this in more detail, but right off the bat, as they file, from their lawyers, they come out, pretty strong. The SEC is completely wrong on the facts and the law, and we're confident will ultimately prevail before a neutral fact finder. XRP, the third largest virtual currency with billions of dollars in trading every day, is currency like the SEC is deemed Bitcoin and Ether and is not an investment contract. And then they, goes on over here. This complaint is wrong as a matter of law. Other major branches of the U.S. government, including the Justice Department and the Treasury Departments, FinCEN, have already determined that XRP is a currency. And I think it even goes beyond that, Chip, because it goes into, XRP at the end of the day isn't just here in the U.S., right? I mean, XRP
exactly right.
is global. And we've seen similar types of outcomes in Japan and England and elsewhere, deeming that XRP is not a security.
Exactly. I mean, the funny thing is, I think there would be more cause for concern if this was 2013, 2014, right? There's nothing to basically tie any argument to. And as you were just reading, I had a list here. So you have Japan's FCA, UK's FSB, UN, the US's FinCEN, US former CFTC chair said it was not a security. Okay, that's pretty strong, right? And would have been nicer, like we've always talked about, if you did that while you were the current CFTC chairman, right? That was Michael Dudek. Then you had the G20 regulators also taking a look at it. So the whole idea of Clayton waking up and saying, you know what, I'm going to get that Garlinghouse. He's been ripping on us pretty hard, But the funny thing is they make a bunch of other assertions which are weird too. Before we go any further, I want to give a giant shout out to Annalise, Kryptonian, and all of our friends in Australia. There's a bunch of them in here. And I want to say everybody, happy, Merry Christmas. It's Christmas Eve there. Phenomenal. Yeah, Roy, RTB, Dutchy just popped in. What's up, Roy? So there I go. I got a little bit sidetracked, but I wanted to say it. I wanted it to be said there. But when you look at some of the assertions that they're currently making, they're talking about people thought they were buying, shares of Ripple, the company. Now, Ripple raised money. Ripple has never been, like, to me, that was the one that made me like really laugh out loud. I'm like, this is just so off base, right? And if you saw Brad Garlinghouse going on all the shows, right? They're like, Ripple is a company in San Francisco, and there's a cryptocurrency called XRP. It's just so laughable. The setups on every one of these channels, the questions, and I gotta give Brad Garlinghouse a lot of credit, because I would have been just like, after making the rounds on all these, and these are like some of the shows that that people should be up on this, but they're just not, right? They just don't know. What's up, Jungle? Jungle just popped in here. And they should be up on this stuff, and it was kind of embarrassing in a lot of ways the way they were going at it. And what do you mean this is security? But one of the assertions, Jeff, that people thought they were buying when they were buying XRP, they thought they were buying shares of Ripple. I mean, that's preposterous. I mean, no. I mean, they raised their own money, it was their own company, and on top of that, if you go back far enough to 2012. Does anybody, let me put it to the chat, does anybody remember what XRP was called before it was called XRP? I'm waiting for somebody to jump in. Well, we have a delay in the chat, right? But OpenCoin was the very first, right? So OpenCoin, developed by somebody else, then it made its way into Ripple. Ripple, don't forget, got slapped pretty early. I think it was 2013. They saw some fines, and they've been working. They're one of the few companies that's been working with regulators all along the way. Hey, big shout out to Jay. Jay, thank you so much. When regulation, and thanks for another great stream and info. Yeah, we're going to jump into when we think, well, regulations are coming. They're coming. We're looking first quarter. My guess is first quarter 2021. Yeah, OpenCoin, nice one.
And really, and Chip, I mean, that's the best point about all this is we're moving in the direction of regulatory clarity, and so having all these details have to be worked out. And someone brought up, it might have been when Mullet, did we think that the banks weren't going to fight back? There's always a lot more to the story than the SEC waking up one day and Jay Clayton just saying, hey, we got to go after Ripple, And so you think about, can it be personal? Someone else brought up, is it because, Brad Garlinghouse said, hey, if they don't get their act together, we're leaving. We're going to another country, but, there and Chip, to your point here, Ripple has been working behind the scenes for years, helping to establish some sort of, educational guidance within Congress to push towards regulatory clarity. And I think they're one of the few companies on Capitol Hill really working, and lobbying the politicians towards an understanding of what the cryptocurrency is, what blockchain is, and what's happening. But to Wen Mullet's point, also, you don't just get to this stage and and we're not talking about the banks in general, but you're talking about like Swift. Swift isn't going to go down, so easily in the space. And you have to, if you follow the path of the money, there's going to be certain lobbyists that are going to want to push politicians in a certain direction as well. But that's all kind of external. I think the most important part of all of this is what we started with, is that we're moving in this direction of regulatory clarity. You have to get some sort of a final decision on this, working through what Ripple is doing, which is a lot bigger than just a Bitcoin or, an Ethereum overall. We're talking about the movement of money around the world, and XRP and the XRP ledger being the key to that entire solution.
Exactly. And it's kind of funny if you think about it. If you're Clayton and you know a little bit, you almost know a little bit about cryptocurrency to be dangerous. First thing you're like, hey, I'll tell you what would be really cool. Why don't I buy a couple bags on the way out the door, man? Watch it go down, roll some some of that Bitcoin profit into it. Listen, I mean, so all this stuff, and I know the community's going crazy with this whole thing, Jeff. I mean, I'm looking at all kinds of stuff, and everyone's in Panicville. I know, we saw the price go down, but because a lot of people were dumping. Look, I mean, Jeff and I aren't financial advisors, but listen, I mean, Malpass put this out. He said, look, I did all my research. I spent 3+ years in this. I'm not giving up on Ripple. I'm not giving up on XRP. Why would I? And I that really hit home for me, because I feel the same way. Why would I? Why would Jungle? Why would anybody? You see Crypto Eddie flinching? No, not at all. So I look at this thing as, when Jeff said probably the most important thing at the very beginning, which was set a precedent. In every court case, you want the one that sets the precedent. This is the one that's going to blow it open, because Brad Garlinghouse is right. That letter was very well written, the one we had flashed on the screen a little bit ago. They really did a nice job. I'm sure they lawyered it up a little bit, but what I liked about it wasn't lawyer-esque, right? It was coming from a heart, from a place of passion. There was some lawyerese in there. You could see some of that going on in there. But I think for the most part, this, and there was one part of here, I pulled it off here because it says Chris and I had the option to settle separately. We could do that, and it would all be behind us. Not happening. That's how confident Chris and I are that we're right. We will aggressively fight and prove our case. Through the court case, we will get clear rules for the road of the industry here in the U.S. We are not only on the right side of the law, we are on the right side of history. And that's everything. And I want to thank Ferdy, because Ferdy sent that exact same thing to me. And I want to thank him for that. I don't know if he can make it. I know it was late over there in the Netherlands. But if you think about that, I love the way they're approaching this. Listen, everything is on Ripple's side as a company, XRP. It seems like a weird time right now. It almost seems too scripted, right? It almost seems like it's a little too, I saw Baba Cugs put that thing out, like it's all scripted. It kind of feels that way too, doesn't it? It's like just too perfect. They throw this out there as, I put out a tweet and said, I finished it with, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. See you later, as he's out the door. And Clayton was never, banned from crypto. No, listen, I think Jay Clayton is going to end up being a hero instead of how we see him as a zero right now, because this is going to be the landmark case that Jeff was referring to that's basically going to set the precedent. And guess what? On top of precedent, and it's going to move pretty fast. I mean, we're going to probably get regulations and before, I'm thinking first quarter. Why? Because Brian Brooks already talked about it. And when you're
Yeah, he
talking
brought that
about
up,
it,
Chip.
what's that?
No, I was gonna say he brought that up. I mean
Right.
that he said he was gonna have it done within 4 to 6 weeks.
And if they're talking about 4 to 6 weeks, that means they're just kind of honing it right. They already have it in the can because they started it 6 months ago. This is something that's been going on for a long time. And the one person that does get it is someone like Brian Brooks, who's the the OCC, the comptroller of office. He's somebody that really gets it in a big way. Well, look at his background. I mean, he was the chief counsel for Coinbase. He knows crypto. He gets it on so many levels. He doesn't really play favorites, but he's said in so many ways, there are ways right now to move money fast. He doesn't come out and he's not waving a giant XRP banner like, follow me, let's go. He's saying that there are all kinds of projects out there that deserve, attention. And every interview, he hits a home run every single time.
Yeah. So Chip, I mean, that this is now becoming, a serious event when, you start getting the mainstream media is digging in and talking about it. And we're not talking about just any old mainstream media, but we're also talking about, the Wall Street Journal. So the Wall Street Journal is digging in, and here you have, and it's great. I mean, you start seeing, this kind of discourse and this kind of conversation, but they want to get in. They're trying to figure out, like, the SEC sues Ripple over XRP cryptocurrency. I mean, it's amazing, right? That we before, if it was Fortune or it's CNBC, but now even elevated to that status. Again, the Wall Street Journal focusing in on big, big financial news stories, stock stories, everything. We know we're in the right place at the right time. At the very same time that we see the SEC going after Ripple, SEC has also filed a case against Walmart. The SEC has filed a case against, there was another company, another big well-known company out there that the SEC is going after. So if we just try to, if we're looking under this microscope at, at what the SEC wants to do with Ripple, like I was just saying, I mean, they're also suing other companies at the exact same time. This is what happens. Is when there's a disagreement and a misunderstanding, you have to get it settled in court. And if you want a final decision on it, it's, in my opinion, anyways, I could be completely wrong. I believe it has to go this direction. It really does. And at the end of the day, I was going to pull something up here.
I was going to pull something up too. You got something to look at?
Okay. I've got all sorts of stuff to look at here.
That's good, Jeff. Why? I got some stuff to look at as well.
So at the end of the day, I look and we see that, Brad Garlinghouse, not going to put his guard down. He's going to keep fighting the fight against this, and he has a lot of big statements. But I thought this was kind of an interesting one, because as this was on Gizmodo, but here you have Ripple claims Bitcoin is Chinese controlled while announcing new lawsuit from the SEC. And that was yesterday, so, but, and his big claim was, that both Ethereum and Bitcoin are controlled, are under Chinese influence here, China controlled. Here you go, the competitor coins. And, it's just interesting. So, there's obviously a lot going on in the space. There's a lot of tension in the space, but we have to kind of sort through a lot of the noise, to get to the, what's really happening.
No, exactly. And one of the things that I learned from reading this. Okay, so this is the press release the SEC put out, and one of the things that I think was interesting was I didn't know it was Christian Larson. And I didn't know Bradley, so I think from now on, Jeff, we refer to them as Christian and Bradley.
Christian and Bradley. What's up with Bradley?
I didn't realize. I thought it might have been Christopher, but no, man, it's Christian. Who knew, right?
Christian Larson. Nice.
So I like even in this press release, right? So they say, according to the SEC complaint, Ripple, Christian Larson, the company's co-founder, executive chairman of the board, and former CEO, and Bradley Garlinghouse, company's current CEO, raised capital to finance the company's business. Okay, they did do that. But then they go, the complaint alleges that Ripple raised funds beginning in 13 through the sale of digital assets known as XRP and unregistered securities to offering to investors in the US and worldwide. That's where they go off the rails there, okay? So and how they position it in the complaint is almost as though people who were buying XRP, which is decentralized versus the centralized company, and this is usually hard for a lot of BTC maxis to get, but when you're not even in crypto, it's an even bigger thing to get. So one of the things that they really fell way off the mark was the fact that they were alleging that people were buying XRP thinking they were buying a piece of Ripple. It's just preposterous, really ridiculous. And then he goes on to say that Ripple also allegedly distributed billions of XRP in exchange for non-cash considerations such as labor and market-making services. According to the complaint, in addition to structuring and promoting the XRP sales used to finance the company's business, Larson and Garlinghouse also affected personal unregistered sales of XRP totaling approximately 600 million. So, you know, what they're alleging here and how they're going after it is a little bit preposterous, man. That's probably the best way I'd put it. I wanted to call some attention to Venture put this out, which was good. The fact that the SEC is looking at injunctive relief, disgorgement with prejudgment interest and civil penalties. What does that mean? So injunctive relief is a remedy which restrains a party from doing certain acts or requires a party to act in a certain way. So disgorgement is legally mandated repayment of ill-gotten gains imposed on wrongdoers by the court. Then you've got the prejudgment interest. This is interest accruing on the amount of a legal award at the time of the injury or damage to the time the judgment was entered in court. And then finally, civil penalty, which is a fine as a financial penalty imposed by a government agency, restitution for wrongdoing. This is where it will all end up. And I thought that was well said and put together. And also the injunctive relief, first of all, I'm looking for the grounds for injunctive relief. They're looking for a way to, I don't know, the injunctive relief seems a little bit, you usually have injunctive relief when one company's pursuing another one, but you have the SEC here, which seems a little bit off to me, but hey, what am I going to say there, Jeff?
Yeah, so I think there's a few really important points to review with all of this, and one of them goes to how Ripple originally responded. So when the SEC they had their wealth submission, and Ripple responded to them originally before the case was filed, and I thought coming right out there are a few big points that were made to really, put things into perspective. And we've covered a couple of them already in regards to, Ripple already being, or XRP already being deemed, a currency and not, and not a security, and so let me pull up this, this Google Doc here real quick. Let me see if, there we go. Okay. Make sure we're sharing. So there were just a few points here. I thought one of them, XRP as a currency, as the DOJ and FinCEN determined back in 2015. So we brought that up, but here you have currencies are excluded from the statutory definition of a security. Digital assets like XRP that operate as a medium of exchange, unit of account, and or store of value are properly categorized as currencies. And so these are some of their statements. XRP's functional characteristics and long-standing utility.
Can you zoom in on that a little bit, Jeff? Can I just make it a little bigger so people can see?
Yeah.
Just the control plus sign in your browser should do it.
Yeah, let me see if I can do that over here. There you go.
Yeah, but keep going. Keep going. There we go.
There you go.
All right, cool.
All right. People are looking on their phones, so it's difficult.
Yeah, it's always tough when you see it on your phones.
Yep. So then the other one here, we get into the Howey test. And I think, someone brought up, actually, I think it was Crypto Eddie this morning was talking about how this could change how the Howey test or how, could be the new Howey test for the crypto space. I kind of disagree with that a little bit. The Howey test has been around since the 1940s. The Howey test is probably the most basic of cases that had to do with an orange grove. And so everything is then matched up against it to try to determine if you're selling a security. And so if we look at the Howey test, for those that don't know, it was, there was a farmer, he owned an orange grove down in Florida. he decided that he was going to split up parcels of his orange grove and sell them to people. And his claim to them was, look, you can buy a part of an orange grove and benefit from the sales of the orange grove, yet you don't have to till the soil and take care of the orange grove. I'll do all that for you. So it'll be my work and you'll benefit from the sales. And so, the way the Howey test ended up coming about, his name, I believe, was Howey, something Howey.
Yeah, it was Howey versus the
versus I think it was the SEC, right?
Securities Exchange Commission. I think it was something along that. That's how it became known as the Howey test.
And that became as the Howey test, exactly.
That was the precedent that we've had for almost 80 years now. So that's exactly right. So we always refer back to something in an orange grove and look at how times move forward. I thought Brian Motter says, hey, what the hell, the SEC, didn't FinCEN already say XRP was a currency? So now Ripple, and that's exactly right. So this is where the attorneys for Ripple are going to argue. I don't see the SEC has any standing in this at all. I mean, even the assertions they're making are off base. And like I said, if this came out in 2013, yeah, I might be a little more concerned. But the fact is, you got FinCEN already saying that it's not a security. So, and the SEC jumping in late in the game saying it is, and then some of the assertions that they have. So no, I think this is open and closed. And if you read Brad Garlinghouse's letter to the employees, the one they have up on their site, he's very strong in the whole thing, and I think that he's absolutely right. I love the passion. They're like, hey, we'll prove it in court. Guess what happens when you prove it in court, people? You win. And guess what else happens? You have a precedent, and that blows open the doors, which is what Jeff was talking about, blows open the doors for Ripple now having that win, and then we have the regulation that follows. I mean, you're going to see probably regulation happen here and there. Tony's saying that there might be a lawsuit against me for selling an unregistered security, my imagination coin. It's all like in hypotheses right now. We're not actually getting there. And then I settled out of court for $4. So, I mean, that could always happen, Jeff. It's always a possibility, But I think in getting real, getting the bugs out of this whole thing, I've seen all kinds of assertions. What did you do to the price of XRP? Well, I mean, I was super excited when I saw it dropping. I was actually going to do a buy, but I was driving. And then it jumped from 22 to 27. I was like, dude, what? I mean, imagine you got in at 22 and it popped back up to 27, bought yourself a little bag, and all of a sudden it popped back up again. Look,
and you're living large.
Look, I mean, we've needed regulation from the beginning of time, from the inception of Ripple. There hasn't been anybody. I mean, the other thing they're going to make a strong case about is that out of all the weird stuff that's been going on, in this crypto and the people who leave and the wallets that get hacked, guess who's the only company that's actually worked with regulators? It's called Ripple. That's the only company out there that actually went to the regulators. They got a fine early on. I think it was 2013. But out of that, they've been working with regulators all along. So have a lot of the big, the important, people like Coinbase. They've been working at this stuff all along. And Ripple never wanted to. People always brought up, well, when are they going to IPO? When there's regulatory clarity, they're not going to put out an IPO, initial public offering, when they're in the middle of this unknown, right? And the fact that they floated the fact that they were going to move out. Look, I mean, Brad Garlinghouse has shareholders to look out after. He's got a company to look out after, and of course they want XRP to succeed. It's really the backbone of what their software works with. I mean, and we had this sort of analogy the other day. It's, if you look at the electricity, it's the lines, right? It's the point between, it's moving it. You have whatever moves between it is the rails. You got the rails, it's super fast, you're 3-4 seconds and super cheap. So you look at that too. Now, there's another side to this, because you look at the SEC and what do they regulate? What are they looking at, right? There's a lot of lobbyists. I mean, people like the Securities and Exchange Commission is not going to be, they're untouchables, right? Nobody gets in their head and no one gets in their ear. Oh, they do all the time, right? Banks do not like cryptocurrencies. That's why they're going for the CBDCs, right? They're like, we'll make our own. It'll be centralized, controlled, and we'll do it great. And you're like, you guys are missing the whole point of what the whole decentralization conversation there. Go ahead and call that up.
What do you think about Tony Morissette here?
I like him. That's what I think. Oh, go ahead. Yeah. Sorry.
The lawsuit is not in the best interest of anybody, not the SEC, Ripple, nor the investors. I felt like Jay was pushed in a way to do this. Otherwise, he would have been done. It would have been done back in 2018. That is an interesting point. why now? Why file the day before he's leaving office? Why now when, Brian Brooks is talking about, regulatory clarity being brought to the crypto space? Why is this all happening at the same time? That's an interesting point to bring up. So we could look at that, and then also go back to, bringing up that it could potentially be personal. Are they going after Brad Garlinghouse and, Bradley and Christian directly? There's so many other variables. Someone else brought up here, that this isn't, where was it? This is something about it not being a game, or, it's still, with the, oh, here we go. So, this guy Sly over here brings it up. So many YouTube channels telling people to buy now. It's only a dip. It's dangerous. You say only to promote YouTube channels for clicks. But you see a lot, we're seeing a lot of that, going on. But I think, what's really critical is that you have to get into this, look at it, analyze it, and it's a point of discussion, because now we're getting ready to go through it. All of these things are culminating at the exact same time. And really, what does it mean? What is it going to mean for the space? Because, if XRP is deemed to be a security, it's extremely detrimental to this space. It's gonna impact the growth. But we're talking about the United States, because, and this will reverberate a little bit outside of the U.S., but Japan has already looked at it. The UK has already looked at it. A lot of other countries aren't making their decision based on this case right now.
Exactly right, Jeff. And look at, so Channing Smithson, who was on last week on the roundtable, he said a similar thing happened to Bitcoin in 2017. Many were scared when China banned it. But there's a lot of posturing going on in the space. The reason we need regulation is because there's just too much manipulation happening, right? And the first thing I thought of was, not only is Ripple has the means, the wherewithal, can hire the right attorneys. Who's freaking out? Everybody who's 4.5 through 5,000 is freaking out right now, because guess what? They're going to be part of it too. Bitcoin, remove Bitcoin, but Ethereum is a little bit different. Bitcoin, we had a white paper, it was mined and all this stuff. So it's a whole different sort of a thing. But then you've got Ether. What's the difference between Ether? And then guess what? If XRP is being hauled into court, what about XLM? What about Jet? Like, why aren't they getting hauled into court? So they don't have a company, but they certainly have a foundation, right? They have a foundation that's separated from the actual currency itself. So a lot of people are going to be affected, and that's why you need a precedent-setting case. This will be it. Just reading through the complaint, looking at the argument, looking at how Ripple came at this. Ripple's 100% right. I had to put I had to look at this like I didn't ever hit the panic button, because we kind of expected this at some point. Everyone's been saying it's a security. And what it really did was it outed all the crazies, right? You had Vitalik Buterin saying, he did it tongue-in-cheek. I know people didn't get that, but he did it a little bit tongue-in-cheek, saying, giving a little bit. Then you had a bunch of people jumping on the bandwagon. You had my boy Pompliano came out and he was hammering it, but I felt like they were doing it more tongue-in-cheek, having a good laugh and a go at it. But I don't even think those guys think it's a security, because if XRP is a security, the crypto space has bigger problems,
And Richard Reeve, the SEC has a Ripple node, so I did hear that discussed. And you think about, the SEC also went after Kick. They had the Kin token. Remember the guys out of Canada and the SEC, they were coming after them, and they said, we're fighting all the way, and we're going to support anybody. We're raising money for every company that the SEC goes after, and we're fighting them. And they just went bad-mouthing them, and the SEC kept going, but they ended up settling.
Yeah, it was $5 million, right?
Yeah, I think it was around that number. I don't know exactly what it was, but let's say it was 5 million. They settle. They had to have some acknowledgement as to when they were selling more of their token, or there was something to do with further distribution, and they moved on with their life. But that was also a component of this decision. But then as this case, as it goes to court, they're also going to have to dig into the precedent that's been decided in all these other countries. in Singapore and Japan and the UK, and they're going to look at that from a global perspective. If the SEC only looks from just from a U.S. perspective on this digital asset and doesn't look to see what other courts or other they're not really the banks or the treasuries of these countries or whoever made the decision in the UK or Japan, that they're going to have to take that into consideration.
I was going to read that, but I have to yell up because it's on all caps.
It's
already being used in other countries. An attempted shakedown that backfired when they didn't make the deal, decided to go to court. I don't kind of see it that way. I think it's going to be very difficult, especially when you bring in regulators from other countries, right? You have to see if they're going to fly in, appear in a Zoom meeting, and they talk about why did they looked at it. You look at FinCEN. There's one of your best sort of off the cuff, people to bring in. But then you bring in Japan. You bring in the regulators from over in Great Britain. You look at Europe is now passing regulations. So interestingly enough, so the U.S. is going to go it alone with Hammer and a company. It's also going to look a little weird too, the way they went right at Chris and Brad, specifically Christian, I should say.
Christian and Bradley.
Going at them, and like almost as if it was like, that part really killed me too. I mean, you always name a CEO, you name a founder and everything, but even in the way they kind of hit them pretty hard about it, like you did this and you did that, it's like, look, this is a silly case. It's gonna go away very fast. I mean, I don't see this being long, drawn out type of thing. And the fact is, like, look, if this happened in 2013, yeah, man, you got, there's nothing to hitch your horse to. This here, man, they're going to bring people from all over the place, and they're going to be, well, how come Japan was cool with it? Well, how come FinCEN was okay with it? And that's going to be one of their stronger arguments. But they're going to meticulously pick apart every part of that. And they also made it. They made a lot of assumptions. Assumptions are bad in complaints when you don't. I mean, they do hit a couple of things that I think maybe. But the whole space has got a bigger problem on its hand. And why would you want to hit? Why would the SEC, instead of doing what they should have done, which is regulating the space, and then you have someone like Hester Pierce coming out, and first of all, she pitched it as like a 3-year safe harbor for a company, a new fintech company to come out, develop a coin, develop a project. You had 3 years to do that. So you've got a lot of direct weird correlation, or I would say not correlation, but a lot of upheaval. You got somebody who's junior to whoever, Jay Powell, Jay Clayton, the chairman, right? And then he's out on the door and he's like, well, I'm not going to do this, blah, blah, blah. So, look, I think this is actually good. And Jeff kind of, we didn't even talk about it, but we kind of had, it's funny because the way we think. Jeff's like, what do you think about these? He's hitting me with it, blowing up my phone on with it. And I kind of had the same feeling. We kind of like, this is a really good thing for the space. There's no way that they're going to rule that XRP is a security. I don't see it. Now, could I be wrong? Yeah, I could totally be wrong.
I don't see it, Chip. I just the whole direction things have moved in, especially, we're looking at how they settle with Kick. We just mentioned that one. They settle with them. And they're going to keep moving in that direction. I think there's just so much, there's so much going on. There's just so much going on right now. Again, it's interesting with the timing of it all. And right from, as the SEC has brought this conversation up, Brad Garlinghouse and Ripple overall, they haven't changed their tune in regards to whether or not they've been very, very clear that this is not a security, and here's the reasons. And we just went over, just outlining a few of them from the Word doc, and they're very specific, that even right from the beginning, when they rolled this out and they were selling it, the people buying knew that they were not buying a part of Ripple, the company. That's how the digital asset space was even in 2013. So you're talking about this going back 7 years ago. When certain individuals came out and said, oh, I bought the XRP token back in 2013, and I thought I was getting a part of Ripple, the company. There's no way. The method that we had to go through even 3 years ago to buy the digital asset, you knew you weren't buying a stock. I mean, it's like
It was
I'm
so hard
buying
to buy.
additional assets. Oh, I got to move my money from here. I got to go on this exchange, and I got to go over here to Bitstamp, and then I have to sell Bitcoin for XRP. Come on. I mean, anybody that is trying to claim that they thought they were buying a part of a company is just foolish. So that's where it just doesn't meet the Howey test, the way I read it, the way I understand it, the way they present it, the way many people have presented it. They just said it's not, and so it's going to be it's going to be interesting. It's really going to be
interesting. So quick question. Jay Vaught wants to know, he's thinking of subscribing. Should he? I think he should.
It depends.
Well, yeah. It does all depend, doesn't it?
It does. It really depends. But for anybody that's new to the channel, if you guys are logged in right now, you're watching us and you're thinking, should I subscribe? The answer is yes. Hit that subscribe button. It's not that difficult to do, especially if you're on your phone. You just hit that little red button. And when you do that, make sure you hit the bell notifier, because when we do go live, and we actually stream live 3 times a week, Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do a roundtable discussion every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's an awesome roundtable. We have members from the community. We get CEOs of big corporations in the crypto space, new corps in the crypto space, builders in the crypto space. We've had a lot of great people on from different exchanges. So
Jungle Inc., who, by the way, we launched on the chain thanks to Jungle. We launched it on a Jungle live stream about a little over a year ago, maybe a few months ago. And Jungle's bringing up a good point. He said it's not about the stock; it's about raising money. Stellar would not be exempt if the SEC wants to go after them for the same reasoning. The idea is that they sold XRP. But also, too, you got to look at. I also look at the fact that, and Brad makes this, Garlinghouse makes this. He makes the same argument, which is they did have, when they started out as a company, they did have investors, they did have stock. They're a private company, but again, as they built up as a company, and this is one of the things that the SEC is alleging, is that they sold the XRP to raise funds for the company, and why they're asserting that, but. Again, if you're looking at it as a security, it doesn't really I still don't see the standing they have there, right? So, and the fact is that it is the decentralized sort of an asset. Now, back then when they did it, it wasn't decentralized because Ripple actually controlled more of the of the nodes. So. Yeah, what happens? This is a good question. Harish says, what happens if it gets delisted and you have XRP invested? Well, I mean, move it off of the exchange if it gets delisted. Look, a lot of people are rushing to judgment about this, and they're delisting it. How many exchanges? I saw 1 or 2 exchanges already delisted it, right?
That's correct. Yeah, a couple delisted, but they're going to still allow you to move your digital asset.
Yeah, you're not going to. It's not like you're going to get pegged with it. It's.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think about what would happen if it does become a security. That enters a whole new realm. But right now, it just seems like everything's kind of leading in a direction. Someone here said that Coinbase said that they won't delist, even if, as this goes through. Here we go. Wade said that. Coinbase, where'd it go? Now it's gone. It went by so quick. All right. But Wade brought up Coinbase is not, there is supporting regardless of what the SEC is doing. Yeah, go ahead and read that one.
I want to read this one. So Jungle's saying eventually there'll be procedures for legally selling digital assets. You won't be able to just make a crypto and start selling it to the public. Oh man, that was one of my master plans. I've been talking about selling my imagination tokens. Those days are coming to an end. Yeah, but Jungle raises a good point here, because think about it. Problem with all of this, there's no clarity. What has Ripple been yelling and screaming and saying? Man, if we don't know where the line is, we don't know you're supposed to do this, supposed to do that. The brand new asset class in 400 years, and all of a sudden they got all these rules around it. But then this is the other part of it is that you have Hester Pierce coming out with her, wild schemes about how she thinks things should go, and then you've got someone like a Jay Clayton, who's really kind of been. Over the last couple of years, he's never been a big fan of crypto. I mean, at least publicly state he's not. But not having any regulatory clarity on like what you're supposed to be able to do, you're right. At some point, that's the whole idea. We need this clarity. People want to know And that's why, I mean, even if it was deemed a security, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It really would not be the end of the world. There would be some kind of a fine or slap. I don't expect Ripple to emerge like victorious. They'll get some slap on the wrist. It'll be a couple $1 million. It's not going to be that big of a deal. But what will happen is precedence. And I don't see, the whole idea of coming after them and really saying that they're selling unregistered securities. Okay, if we're going to keep it to the security argument and we're going to keep it around that, then we only have the Howey Test to compare it to, because that's what we've been going back to. And this is one of the reasons that everyone's been talking about. Look, you can't take something that happened in the 30s with regard to how we regulate it and then going back to the Howey Test because you had a lawsuit. But that set the precedent that's still going all these years later.
Yeah, so, and I think it's also important really to identify that there's a clear separation between Ripple, the company, and XRP overall. So obviously we're all kind of going through this right now. We're going to see as the days progress, as more information is released on it, obviously. But it seems, I mean, they're extremely confident in the direction they're moving in. And I think we kind of feel the same way. But Chronic, here, brought something up that there's 55 billion controlled by Ripple Labs and full control and a tool of manipulation, according to what they're saying. Now, there are 55 billion that are locked up in escrow, and only 1 billion is allowed out every single month. The majority put back in, some of it used. Can never be truly decentral, perfect Fed coin. However, the nodes are not controlled by Ripple. Majority of the nodes and the validators are decentralized. So I think there's a lot of different elements to that.
Yeah, and I also want to go back. I want to bring it back to if you could get rid of that comment there for a second, there, Jeff. Chronic. Okay, so I want to go to this. I want to go to these two things right here. The complaint's wrong as a matter of law. Other major branches of the U.S. government, including the Justice Department and the Treasury Department, Treasury Department's FinCEN have already determined that XRP is a currency. And I think this is key. The reason being is you already have your precedent here is another government organization, especially the Justice Department, right? So those are the people that set the laws and go after the people that are breaking the law. Now you have the Securities and Exchange Commission. Really, I mean, most of what their work is regulating public companies, right? People that have gone public with some kind of a stock on offering. And that's, if you look at the majority of the stuff that they come after, that will happen at times, right? But if you look at this, I mean, bring it back to what this is. This is not the first time the SEC's tried to go beyond its statutory authority. The courts have corrected it before and will do so again. This is Michael Kellogg, Hansen, Todd Figel, and Frederick, a law firm. And this is another good point. And I think that Garlinghouse getting out in front of this thing. The first one here, the SEC is completely wrong on the facts and law, and we are confident we will ultimately prevail before a neutral fact finder. XRP, the third largest virtual currency with billions of dollars in trading every day, is a currency like the SEC deemed Bitcoin and Ether is not an investment contract. Because this whole idea that they're calling it an investment contract is kind of crazy. I want to see here, right here. XRP is not an investment contract. XRP holders do not share in the profits of Ripple or receive dividends, nor do they have voting rights or any other corporate rights. Purchasers receive nothing from their purchase of XRP except an asset. In fact, the vast majority of XRP holders, hello people, have no connection. Wait, I lost something. Yeah, have no connection or relationship with Ripple whatsoever. And look, they're hitting this. Every one of these points is going to come up. This is an overview of what's going to happen in court. And unlike securities, the market value of XRP has not been correlated with Ripple's activities. Instead, the price of XRP is correlated to the movement of other virtual currencies. So by the fact that it moves up and down with other currencies, because it is in fact a currency, and you already have the precedent with these other government agencies already. Legendary says he never signed an XRP contract. That's exactly right, Legendary, right? And so this is what I also bring it back to too is they're going to go through and they're going to traipse through for the very first time they received the fine back in 2013. They went a little bit outside the guidelines, and it says we've always tried to over communicate, to be transparent as possible, and explain how we think about the long-term value of XRP. We've always worked to partner with regulators. And this, if you're looking at one company, the one company out there who's always walked the line and gone to the regulators first and try to get some clarity. Meanwhile, Ripple, as an organization, I think they took out, I think it was the New York Times, Jeff, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, full page ad asking for regulations, asking for clarity. Every company wants to know what they can do. They don't want to overstep or make the wrong step. And Jungle brought that up a little bit before too. He says, to be clear, this is all based on their logical claim that XRP in their view somehow is the functional equivalent of a share of stock. And Jeff brought this up as well. How, and again, it has nothing to do with the stock. And Jeff, I thought your example was really good. It was really difficult. If you were a newbie in the space and you were trying to buy XRP, it was like, shifting this, moving this, and like it wasn't an easy thing. There was a very limited amount of exchanges you could purchase it on. Right. And back then the banks were kind of weird and hard to work with. So what else do we have? Well, we have Brian Brooks saying that banks can custody cryptocurrency. What is XRP? A cryptocurrency. So there's a lot of this stuff going on. Jeff, what say you?
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, exactly. Everything that you just went through, that's very, very clear, in terms of what Brad and, what Chris are looking at in terms of, Ripple's perspective on it. And they've been fighting this case, for months and months and months. I mean, this goes back already, a couple years ago, but I think it's very poignant, to emphasize and focus in on the space in general, because if the SEC is coming after one company, and I think that, it goes back to, how did they even, phrase this open letter that they had, that they had sent out to the employees, but then they put it up on the website. The title of it, the SEC's attack on crypto in the US. So what is the one key point that we hear a lot from Ripple? And why did Brad Garlinghouse come out and say that if the SEC doesn't get their act together, if the US government doesn't get their act together, that they're moving? They want to bring their company somewhere else. They want to find somewhere that's more crypto friendly. And we've said this from day one, that this space is kind of handcuffed in the United States until there's regulatory clarity. And I think you were bringing it up a little while ago. I mean, this is a perfect case as to why we need regulatory clarity. Because if Ripple still needs to fight this case a year from now, 2 years from now, and there's always uncertainty, that the SEC can always hang that over their head and say, oh, one day we're going to deem you a security, or deem the XRP a security, and then everything's going to blow up. It can't go on forever like that. So yes, and I think Mike Shaw TV brought that up. This is like the next step that could actually lead to the regulatory clarity. They talked about it. Brian Brooks talked about it within 4 to 6 weeks. So like you said, it's going to happen probably in January, February timeframe. We're going to see them bring in some sort of guidance. And that's it. They're going to solidify that guidance, and it's got to be locked in. Part of this, the SEC has to make a decision here. In order to set the precedent, which we've been talking about the whole time, they have to go through this case. I mean, it's exactly. It has to be, for good or bad.
No, for good or bad. Yeah, that's well said, Jeff. And I wanted to give a couple shout outs here. Look, guys, we just hit 400 in the stream. Thank you, everybody, for jumping in. If you're new to here, go ahead and click down below. Click, like, subscribe. We do a lot. We do these roundtables often where we bring people from the community. We like to bring people from the community, whether they're well known or not, but they're all usually XRP bag holders. And then the other thing we have another channel as well, which we do more of the pre-recorded stuff. But go ahead, hit that like, hit that subscribe. And I did want to jump into, so we have a lawyer here. Lots of people who don't know. You want to read that, Jeff?
Yeah, so here we have lots of people who don't know, who think they know here. This litigation is garbage. And yes, that's my expert opinion. Appreciate that, Thomas. It won't be 2 years. There's no injunction. It's coming by February first.
Thank you for saying that, Thomas, as well, because look, I'm not an attorney. I do work with a lot of legal documents. I do see a lot of complaints. I work in a different sort of an element. I'm not going to get into the exact thing, but I see a lot of complaints. And a lot of times when I see the complaint, I can read it right off the bat and just say, this doesn't have any standing with the court. They're citing, they're citing garbage, right? There's nothing based in fact. They're not bringing it back to something where, they can look at another law or a court case. And I think that's 100% right. It's garbage all the way, but guess what? It's the ticket. It is the ticket. I want to jump back into this real quick. Jeff, I wanted to go to the, hang on a second. I don't want to remove this. How do I add my stream here again? Let's see.
Are you adding something?
There, added the stream. Yeah, there we go. So I want to go ahead and add this. So let's go here because this really sums it up. Now, let me be clear, and this is Brad Garlinghouse who wrote this. He said, Ripple, Chris, and I may be the ones named in the filing, but this is an assault on crypto at large. In this case, XRP is a proxy for every other altcoin in the space. From there, you have the snowball effect, and this isn't good news for any market maker, exchanges like Coinbase. This sets a terrible industry-wide precedent for any company working with the digital asset. With this allegation coupled with the SEC's good housekeeping seal of approval bestowed upon Ether and Bitcoin, only directly benefiting, and so this is another thing that they talked about, and I'll jump back into this too, benefiting China. They're creating an unfair advantage to companies here in the United States and dramatically benefiting Bitcoin and Ether, and it's just incredible. The SEC, a U.S. regulator in the business of picking winners in the industry, or really any industry, and disadvantaging company. So this is strong. Now it'd be interesting to hear from our attorney in here, but this is a very strong argument. Because the SEC's job is not to pick winners and losers. What he's saying here is that we have them picking that they're saying, well, Bitcoin and Ethereum are not securities. But so is it the SEC's job to pick winners and losers? It's never any government organization that oversees on any regulatory body that overlooks at something. And I love this argument that he's making and saying they're also talking about creating this unfair advantage. Now, here's how we saw it in the trades. Or I think it might have been, I don't remember who it was. Maybe it was Vitalik Buterin from Ethereum, but he said somebody made the allegation that said, oh, on his way, as he was announcing the SEC, complaint, he was also talking about China and Bitcoin. Well, look, I mean, Brad Garlinghouse has made this, but you don't have to be living in a cave somewhere. You don't have to be some kind of cave dweller. Look, it is controlled somewhat, and we knew it was a ruse from day one. And Jeff and I laughed at it when it came out that they've banned Bitcoin. China is banning Bitcoin. No, they're not. They got they're the CCP. They've got the most cheap electricity. They don't even pay for electricity. I mean, they don't have any of the challenges other people have. So if they're mining it, controlling it, all of a sudden now they're go ahead and they're funneling it through Hong Kong and out the door, right? So they've got this little money maker that's happening along the way.
Yeah. So it's interesting you brought up China, and I just flashed that comment.
I had to bring it up before you, Jeff. It was either you or I.
You had to bring up China. Is Sir John in tonight, or is he not here?
No, Sir John's not here, which is weird.
Sir John's not here? If I say so. IMF, is DNI going to show up? IMF. You have to say it 3 times, and then DNI shows up.
That's the bat signal for that, for sure.
IMF. All right, so no, I was going to say, someone, and now it's gone, and his name, I think it was Reeves. Richard Reeves said something about China, and it's interesting that Brad, here he's bashing China. I think it's also interesting that he seems to be supporting a certain political candidate that seems to be in favor of China. But I think overall, yeah. How many times can I say China in this sentence?
So, I don't know, Jeff. How many can you say it?
But I think there's definitely a lot to this. And when he looks at what's going on with the mining that you brought up over in Bitcoin mining over in China, it is important. And then we're talking about is XRP centralized, or is it decentralized in nature? Is Bitcoin truly decentralized if the majority of the mining is taking place and controlled by one major entity? So you could really get into that discourse. It could be interesting. That's a whole nother topic.
It is a
But
whole
I
other.
figured I would touch on that in a minute.
But I really, I've seen a lot of stuff come out from Brad Garlinghouse. I got to tell you how much I love some of the things he's made here. I like the fact that he's standing up big time. There you go. We're pushing 30 again. There it is.
It's 29 cents. A lot of this, a lot of the price movement is going to be based on, fear. It's either fear or FOMO that tracks the market. I was having a conversation with somebody today, specifically about stocks, and we were getting into that many stocks, the direction of those stocks dictated by fear. It's either fear of missing out or, or FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. You don't know which way it's going, so you sell, or it's FOMO and you buy. And typically, people are chasing it. You're either chasing it on the way down or you're chasing on the way up. And too many people get into a bad predicament because of that, and so you'll see the emotional aspect of the buys and sells dictating the direction of the price point as well, regardless of anything else that's happening.
Yeah, well, there's one more dig that Jay, that Brad Garlinghouse levies at Jay Clayton, and this one is another fine. It's kind of like there's some punches landed, and you know who's landing the punches? Garlinghouse is landing them. Look at this one. Interestingly, Jay Clayton has been incredibly focused on showing a legacy of supporting innovation. Despite what he would like the public to think, it's obvious the SEC is not at all committed to fostering innovation in the digital asset space. Whoa. He says, with this behavior, the SEC is engaged in an all-out attack on the crypto industry. That will be Jay Clayton's true legacy. And man, Jeff, he's connecting punches. Sometimes you a big swing and a miss. Talks about the frustration that comes up, that there was this massive opportunity to really do something great. I mean, and I have to agree with him, but the fact that they're taking this, we had a resident attorney pop in and say that, but like the fact that they're doing this, taking it head on, they're not dodging it. They've got 8 years and a half I would say almost 9 years of dealing with regulators, doing it the right way. They have a precedent in the way they've operated as an organization and a company. So they're going to bring a lot of this stuff. What's going to happen? One of two things. Either Ripple, a lot of this stuff is thrown out, but whatever happens, this will set a precedent that's going to be great for the industry. But, it's not just Ripple freaking out right now. There's a lot of organizations that said, we are next. We are next. If this thing goes south in a big way, guess what? They're coming for us. And we're not a $10 billion company. We don't have the wherewithal. And you saw that with Kick, right? They're going to fight, and they're going to, they're all, a bunch of young rabble-rousers. And at the end of the day, no, man, listen, it's one thing to fight based on citing law, principle, some kind of standing. But it's another thing where Kick just went off, like, come on, let me at him. We'll punch him in the face. It's like it's not exactly the best way to go. But anyway.
Not 100% sure, Chip. I think it's magic.
I'm pretty sure it's magic. So one of the things we're going to be doing, guys, we're going to be opening up a merch store. Some of the favorite things we like to say, some of the things around on the chain and in general. We'll put some of that stuff because a lot of people hit us up and say, like, hey, can I get something? The other thing we do too is we've made some pretty strong promises. We've had a bunch of people on, and we said when they hit that 5th show, they get the official hoodie. Sometimes on Saturday Night Live, you get the official jacket, you get the official hoodie, and so we don't have an official sort of a merch channel. So that's one of the things we're going to be doing. So Roy says he doesn't see his landing punches. He's in CYA mode, cover your ass mode. He lined his pockets, and now we know. No, I don't look at it that way at all. I think I do. Well, when I say punches, I'm just saying, look, he's calling him out. Maybe punch is the wrong word. He's calling him out, but he's calling him out on fact. And the fact that Jay Clayton's legacy will be for when we had the most innovative time. We had 2 periods, if you've been long enough to live, right? We had the internet period, which was, imagine what would happen if the government had shut down the internet and had really regulated the hell out of it. There were bills in the 90s where when Clinton was the president, that they said, no, we don't see that as the way to go. Over-regulation right now with something that's growing like crazy doesn't make sense. Now you got Jay Clayton, who's not that bright, comes out and does exactly the opposite. I mean, look at the internet. Look at how they wanted to overregulate the internet, and they've kind of been like, no, hands off it, let it grow. This is a great thing. This is changing society. This is opening up all these things that nobody knew about. People didn't know they'd be doing banking on the internet. People didn't know they'd have apps on their phones. No, but they said don't regulate it. And what's Jay Clayton, banging his chest saying we're gonna, he's coming at him. So yeah, it's a little bit weird there.
I like how people bring up things of the past. It's just like suing Pets.com. Yeah.
Remember that? It was like anything you could slap a .com after. It was like, just come up with a name and .com.
Great.
It was like
.com, and you make millions, and then it goes bust.
It was awesome. So I think Jeff, one of the things I think I want everyone to know is like, look, yeah, it seems weird the SEC's coming at him. I had a conversation with my son-in-law the other day. He's like, I really wanted to get into crypto. He was asking me about it. How do I do it? I don't have incredible money to put away because I'm in college, but I want to put something at it. And the first thing he said to me tonight when I saw him, because they're in town, I saw him, I met up with him, and he goes, hey, what's up with the SEC suing Ripple? It was like, so if you guys know anything about marketing, if you guys know anything about the best thing that can happen to any organization, and Jeff pointed this out early, is press. Bad press is great press. Putting it out there, people never heard of XRP. Wait, the SEC? And when they come through it with flying colors, there's going to be a whole. Go ahead, take this.
Was that? No, I didn't mean. Go ahead.
No, I just lost my train of thought. So
just like that was easy. I just distract. Boom, quick distraction.
Yeah, why was everyone mad about the line your pocket stuff? XRP wallets are on the public ledger. Are people just learning about the funds coming out of Chris Larson's wallet? No, Chris Larson was very public with it. He just said he moved it to there's a company out of New York, actually one of the, and maybe Jungle, you know who it is. I don't think the name rolls off my tongue, but there's a New York-based custody company where Larson said, look, I know the people. Of course, one of the guys from that board, the founder of that company, sits on Ripple's board, and he's been public about it and said, look, if you're looking, I just moved a bunch of stuff to a company that's going to be doing custody. I mean, that's where I look at that.
Oh, it's another one, Chip. It's interesting. You have Robinhood also just got slapped by the SEC.
They did.
So that was a big one, and that's the way they were listing things. And,
right, but why, Jeff? Though, because why I think that's more on par and probably warranted because they weren't a lot of stuff is about disclosure, right? It's cool you have a fun little app on your phone, but people, because that's where you saw a lot of the the 20, 30s somethings getting into stock because it just made it so easy. You click a button.
Oh, it's so nice.
It's so easy to use. I mean, I used to use, I use Robinhood now too. I love it. But the disclosure on their side, they're kind of sidestepping stuff. They weren't being 100%. Look, you got to follow if you're going to be an exchange, if you're going to be out there selling stock, you got to follow the rules. And that right there is a whole different ballgame.
And stuff happens, JP Morgan, they got slapped with a huge fine lately. I mean, all these companies, all the banks, they get slapped with fines for not reporting the right way, misreporting, whatever they might be doing. Ripple is kind of in a position right now. They're no longer some small entity with some future, hope of taking on Swift. They're actually making major waves right now in this space, overall. And taking on Swift is no big, it's not a joke, and it's a massive thing to unseat. And I think, Swift as a conglomerate has like 10,000 banks, involved in this conglomerate. So just chipping away at that narrative that Swift is only, it's a chipping away at
shipping, baby.
Swift is just a messaging platform,
right.
Whereas Ripple is really providing so much more. And then you look at what, they just did, with MoneyGram, and MoneyGram came out and made a big announcement that yes, working with XRP, through the XRP ledger, utilizing the ODL had a big impact on everything that they were doing. So if the SEC is all of a sudden going to step in and say, no, they want to impact, do they really want to disrupt this space for the United States? I just don't believe it, because if the SEC files that as a security, it's going to push every other business outside of the U.S. I think at the end of the day, that's what it's going to come down to. It comes down to dollars and cents. And I think I've seen a few people throwing that up there. It's not just about Ripple. It's not just about XRP. It's everything in the blockchain space right now, regardless of what Bitcoin is, regardless of what Ethereum is. It's going to have a major impact across the board if it's settled the wrong way, and it's going to create a real bad stigma for regulatory clarity. It's going to be the wrong regulatory clarity, and it's going to crush other companies that are going to try to build in this space. And like you brought up with the internet, could you imagine if the government decided to over regulate the .com, and the internet? We would not be sitting here having this conversation right now.
No, but they tried to. I mean, they were looking to do it, and everybody said, you know what, let's let it grow, let's see where it goes. And I think one of the things that I like what Brad did, Garlinghouse, when he closed his letter, remember, this was really said to the employees, and it came out a little bit before it was a public thing, but he says, what I don't want you to do is worry. We will get through this, and we will prove our case in court. We have a phenomenal legal team, and like I said, we're on the right side of the law to begin with. Know, however, that the legal system is slow, and this is just the beginning of a civil process. But the funny thing about it is that by the time it does roll around, and I actually don't think it's going to be, it may not end up being that slow, because depending on what happens, we know we're getting regulations. We know a lot of the stuff that could come out. And this is what happens when you have the FinCEN saying that no, it's not a security. So the reason I believe the SEC has been so slow, at least we've been of the opinion of being so slow, is because you can make a lot of missteps early, right? And this is a giant misstep, but ultimately it will create the precedent that will end up making it sort of like the green light for everybody. But when you're trying to put this together, Jeff, I mean, when we're looking at from the standpoint of, Ripple is looking at fighting this thing, getting out in front of it. They've been asking for this for a long time, And by the way, Ali G's in here. One of the big Bam Bam's in here. I don't know if that's my drummer, Bam Bam, because my drummer in my band is named Bam Bam as well. So I don't know if that's the same Bam. I'm sure there's a lot of Bam Bams. But Ali G and everybody, a very Merry Christmas, because you guys are on Christmas Eve. So I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas there. Go ahead.
And Jungle brings up a great point here. It says, why manipulate? Because the SEC says, they put this is, publicly disclosing they're buying and selling to support the market. Do illegal market manipulators generally publicize their actions? And that's a great point. I mean, everything Ripple does, Ripple has a lobbyist, group within Ripple that is up on Capitol Hill educating. Ripple hired one of Warren Davidson's key people, one of the key writers of the Token Taxonomy Act. If you guys are up on the Token Taxonomy Act that's been years, past couple of years, with Darren Soto and Warren Davidson, two congressional representatives presenting that bill in front of Congress. Obviously, the Token Taxonomy Act didn't get the legs that it needed to even be brought up to a vote. However, it did break down, and it helped educate. But one of the key people that helped put the Token Taxonomy Act together was actually hired by Ripple to, for their government outreach. And that, and so that's what Ripple has been doing. They're working on Capitol Hill in government outreach to create and facilitate and help a move towards regulatory clarity. Now, why would a group and a company work towards regulatory clarity if they had plans of circumventing regulatory clarity? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So you have to look at all the facts, not just some of the facts.
And exactly, and Jungle brings up a phenomenal point. And why are they working with regulators out of the box? And why are they demanding some sort of, hey, listen, we're a company, we want to do the right thing. Where are the lines? How do we stay inside the boundaries? How do we operate as a company? And check this out, Jeff. Josh says, hey, pack it up, XRP Moon Boys, your time is over. Look at that. For the first time ever, Jeff, someone else is looking at the time instead of me. But, is that the way that's not the way you took it?
That's not the way I took it.
I think we ought to do it. I think Josh has given some really good.
Pack it up.
Pack it up, boys and gals. We're I wanted to. There's another comment here. Where's another one here? Good. It's always funny, Jeff. It's like you see the comment and you can't find it again. There we go. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. There's some well wishes there, which is always good.
How's Annalise doing all this typing while she's wrapping spring rolls? That's a lot of work all at the same time.
Yeah, that seems like a lot. Well, she probably has like one of those, when she says, "Hey Siri, type out this message," or "Hey Google, type this out." I think she's more of she might be more on the Google side. I think she might have said that before. I'm not 100% sure.
Here's another interesting point, and I think this is relevant for pretty much all of I wouldn't say all of government, but many of those in government, in Congress, in the House, and in Senate. They don't understand the digital asset. This is why they haven't been able to pass any valid bills on it. And in our communication with Warren Davidson's office, that's already been like a year and a half ago. That was one of their biggest obstacles, was trying to educate other members of Congress and the staffs of the members of Congress to the importance and significance of digital assets. So Carl here brings up, I believe SEC fears XRP because it truly doesn't understand what it is. Tenants, are fearing what they don't know. Exactly, a tendency to fear what they don't know. And I do believe I think there's definitely a part of that. This is one of the reasons why Maxine Waters, doesn't know how to text and doesn't know how to, she doesn't know what Bitcoin is. She calls it Bitcom. They've been very somewhat, I don't want to say antagonistic, but let's call it antagonistic. They've been somewhat antagonistic in the digital asset space in general because they don't understand.
Jeff, they don't even know what Facebook is. I mean, they brought Zuckerberg in, and they were like, "Tell me about this. What is this Facebook thing you have?" And well, how do I get into it? And what is it exactly? I'm like, oh God, this is embarrassing, not only for our country but for on the world stage. They didn't know what Google does, and they're complete. Look at this. Jade's pointing out another really good point here. She's like 380 people in here and under 45 likes on a video. Get moving, peeps.
Well, guys, I can't see likes on my screen, so I don't know what's going on.
Guys, please like, subscribe, click that little bell. If you don't click that bell, by the way, something weird happened the other day. I was trying to do that on a couple of things. I kept hitting the subscribe, and I felt like those days where you like try to hit a button on the internet and it would like move and you couldn't hit it.
There it
super
is.
Sticker,
David with the super sticker. Appreciate that. Always appreciate any kind of support. Goes to keeping the channel going. Not really, but we appreciate it.
No, we really do. There's another really good one here too. Let's see where it goes by sometimes. It's always it had the C word in it. That starts with the C, and I cannot find it right now. But there's a really good. You see it in there? There's a really good comment.
Coinbase?
Nope. Not that one, Jeff. It's your favorite word.
So Sid is bringing up whether or not Coinbase will delist. We did mention a couple exchanges, really tiny exchanges, had delisted. I don't know. I'd never heard of those exchanges before. Coinbase came out, said that they're going to continue backing, that they're not doing anything. Jade's talking about vitamin D3. Not sure.
That's great, man. Listen, vitamin D3 is what we ought to be talking about. Get some vitamin D in there.
There you go. You got that.
Sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. Put that one back up. I was just clicking. Did you get that?
Hey, so Seth says, hey, how is Bitcoin any different than communism? Both put down all opposition. Both aim to remove free choice. For example, alts, both lie, smear, and slander any opposition. That is an interesting comment right there. Wow. Put some thought into that.
We'll have to cover that on another.
By the way, I retweeted something today and I thought it was the funniest thing ever. Somebody on the internet said something like, remember when we were supposed to? It was supposed to be we were supposed to shut down for 3 weeks until we flattened the curve. When was that? When was that a precursor for communism? Honestly, it's just like, Wade's saying, oh wait, I'm not going to put that up there, Wade. No, I'm not going to say that. So, Wade, no, I can't always say the comments, but I will tell you something about the live streams that I love. Is like you guys always make it funny. I'll be going on a roller while listening to Jeff, and I just started laughing because you guys make me laugh. It's always fun.
It is funny, especially if you're talking about something serious, and then you're reading the comments and laughing. It doesn't blend well. Yeah.
So Vicky says, should XRP hold worth this time? Look, it's always a personal choice, but being in the space for years, going back to 2013 with Bitcoin, I think you gotta follow your own heart on this one. I'm not going anywhere. If I can pick up more, I will. But I just feel like we've been talking about regulation for a long time. It's finally coming. Libra, please.
Come on, Simon. It's no longer Libra. It's now Diem.
That's right.
It's now Diem.
Diem.
So
as in per.
As in per, except not. Right.
In my case, so Carl says, in my case, I won't be shaken by the price movements and the news about XRP. If anyone can see what the stimulus packages are going to cause, use that stimulus to buy money or XRP. That's a good one too, because
I'm worried about that.
Well, I don't like the whole idea. I mean, that's a whole other thing about that. I don't think we can get into that. Bitcoin is so DJ says Bitcoin is a foreign currency. VC, why would any American invest in foreign control? Well, Bitcoin, really, the thing about Bitcoin is truly decentralized. Nobody to go after. I mean, you can't go after Satoshi. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, there's nothing you can really do there. So.
Oh my God. All right. So anyhow, I think we're going way off topic.
Yeah, we're going off topic, but I think, listen, I want to thank everybody for jumping in here tonight. We're going to do some more stuff on this. We got a roundtable coming up this Sunday. I want to wish everybody, I know Hanukkah's past, but happy Kwanzaa, happy Festivus, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. But we'll be doing stuff way before that. But I really enjoyed going through this with everybody. You guys all had a lot of contributions. Sorry we couldn't get all the comments up. There's a lot of good stuff happening in here. Again, we love, the best part of Jeff and I doing this is you guys. You make it worthwhile for us to come in here and share stuff. Go ahead. You want to take Deja Blue?
Oh, I got to take that as you're wrapping this one up. I mean, I love seeing comments like that because but when Bitcoin was 6 cents a coin, I asked my financial advisor if I should invest. He said, no, I listened. I'm listening to myself now. XRP has better tech. It's bag time. So, I think you got to, to that point, you have to invest in, what you have to do your own research. I guess my point, you have to feel comfortable with it. And, at the end of the day also, and I think this is important because it goes with any investment. It doesn't matter if it's Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, any of them. If you're investing in the stock market, you should only invest what you can afford to lose, and the reason why is because in any of those scenarios, there's always a probability of risk. I mean, it's always possible. Even if you buy a stock, there could be a problem with that, with your investment. Look at what happened with GE and look what happened with General Motors. And, there's a whole host of companies you'd never think that you would lose money with, and it happens. So always be cautious of that. But this market is amazing. This is the future. We know this is the future. There's the direction everything is going in. Love that everybody was on here. We see a lot of new people that joined us tonight. Looking forward to seeing, many, if not all of you guys back on with us again. Like Chip was saying, we're going to dig into this topic a little bit more. We have a great roundtable coming up on Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I believe Channing is joining us again on Sunday.
Yeah.
We're going to try to dig into the Flare Financial, look at that, the DeFi. Well, let's talk, let's ping some ideas off him, what he thinks of the case. Maybe there'll be some more articles, some more feedback on this. And then Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be doing a live stream as well. So I'll be on and we'll dig into what we dig into.
Well said, Jeff. And listen, thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming in here. Listen, have a very safe Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa, Festivus, whatever you guys celebrate. Just enjoy yourself. Be good to people out there. And look, chill. Don't worry about it. Everything's going to be okay. It's going to work its way out. This will be in the rearview mirror in 6 months probably. So let's see what happens. And that's it for me. Chip out. Jeff, you got anything?
That's it. Let's get out of here.
Let's do it.
Out. Hit that button.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.